Here's a look at today's top 4 at 4. Keep a close eye on those ovens. Today, Fargo police responded to an electrical fire. We'll tell you the details next. And who's Sanford New Year baby that's joining our community? We'll let you know who the newest bundle of joy is. And the 4 officers charged in the death of George Floyd could be facing a later trial date. We'll tell you why prosecutors want to push the trial back 3 months. And many of you got to sleep in after a night of welcoming 2021. While some stayed in, Fargo police say officers were very busy as people packed the streets and lines poured outside bars for New Year's Eve. Learn more about what officers saw on the streets tonight on Valley News Live at 5. That wraps up today's top 4 at 4. Now let's get a first look at our weather with meteorologist Nathan Hopper. Hey, Nathan.
Hey, Kelly. Happy New Year to you and Happy New Year to everybody out there watching with us as well. Kind of a foggy start to the new year. A live look from our Valley Sky Cam in South Fargo shows those low clouds hanging over the metro. There's the Sanford Hospital there on the left-hand side of your screen. So you can see those visibilities are reduced to about 4 or 5 miles in Fargo with those low clouds. But elsewhere, visibilities are even further reduced. A quarter-mile visibility in Thief River Falls. Fergus Falls, a 2.5-mile visibility. Right now in Langdon, 0 miles that visibility. So we're seeing patchy, dense fog at this hour. But notice most of that, the densest of that fog is in our South Dakota neighborhoods. And that's where we do have a dense fog advisory until midnight tonight. So that's just going to be reduced visibilities throughout the day. And of course, if you do encounter that fog, make sure to use your low beams so other vehicles can see you. Though it may not necessarily help you see any better in the fog, it does help other drivers to see you and your vehicle. But of course, looking at how things look on that radar, notice the satellite is pretty quiet. So most of these clouds are so low, they're actually under that satellite imagery. So, of course, above the fog and the clouds we're seeing, things are pretty quiet. So no precipitation there that we're seeing to be worried about for this New Year's Day. Temperatures just as we expected in the teens and 20s for most, with lower 30s in the warm spots. Fergus Falls at this hour the coolest spot, but look at Jamestown, our friends out toward the west, 32 degrees this hour. In Jamestown, Mobridge seeing 39, so definitely some seasonably mild air out there, Callie. But we're, of course, looking ahead to that first weekend of 2021, and it's looking like a good one. We'll break that down and talk about the chance of showers next week in a couple minutes.
All right, thanks so much, Nathan. And one family is trying to pick up the pieces after a fire badly damaged their garage. It started around 10:30 last night at 1106 3rd Street South. That's in the neighborhood just west of Concordia College. Police were first on the scene using fire extinguishers to help keep the fire from spreading. When firefighters pulled up, flames were coming from the siding of the detached garage. Captain Rick Loveland says they put out the fire quickly. A third of the garage is damaged. And earlier today, Fargo fire crews went to a small oven fire in the 1700 block of 14th Street South. Crews on scene said it was an electrical malfunction of wires in the unit that were caught on fire. Police officers who were first on scene got the fire out with the homeowner's fire extinguisher. Fire crews carried the oven outside to make sure it was safe, venting out the rest of the smoke from the kitchen. There was minor damage. And a North Dakota man is dead after being hit by a car in Morton County. The Highway Patrol says it happened just before 9 last night near the town of Huff, which is south of Bismarck-Mandan on Highway 1806. Police got several calls about someone walking on the highway. Troopers say the victim was standing in the middle of the road when he was hit by a driver who says he tried but couldn't avoid hitting the man. Police are not releasing the victim's name, but do say he is a 43-year-old from Bismarck. In Minneapolis, police yesterday released body cam video of the officer-involved shooting that left one man dead Wednesday night. Officials say police pulled the vehicle over as a result of a weapons investigation. In the body cam video, police are seen getting out of their squad cars and screaming for the man who was still inside his vehicle to stop the car. The vehicle is then seen trying to drive away before being blocked by other squad cars. The officer yells "hands up" before what appears to be at least one shot being fired from inside the vehicle. Officers then return the fire. Prosecutors in the case against the 4 Minneapolis officers charged in the death of George Floyd case want the trial to be delayed by 3 months. The trial's original date is March 8th, but now the prosecution has filed a motion pushing the trial to June 7th. Prosecutors say putting the trial off balances the need to protect public health. All 4 ex-officers are scheduled to be tried together. Chauvin's attorney says he doesn't plan to object to the prosecution seeking a delay in the trial. Kung's attorney said the reason for prosecution's motion is puzzling since the pandemic has been around for a while. No word yet on the reaction of George Floyd's family. And little Asher John is only a few hours old, and he's already making headlines. Asher was born this morning at 11:18 at Sanford Family Birth Center in Fargo. The Walvetney family made the trip to Fargo this morning from Fergus Falls. Although Asher was not expected until the 6th, he was a light to start 2021 off right, especially after the challenging year of 2020.
She's a nurse in Fergus Falls, so I mean, we were a little hesitant to try to have another child when the pandemic started. So we just figured we wouldn't put our lives on hold forever, and we didn't know how long it'd be. So we, went for it, and now we have Asher.
Even though Asher was born ahead of schedule, he is a healthy 7 pounds, 4.9 ounces. In our consumer alert this evening, Target is recalling hundreds of thousands of infant items that could choke or pinch your baby. The first involves these infant girl swimsuits. Target says about 181,000 Cat and Jack infant toddler one-piece rash guard swimsuits were sold in stores and online. Snaps on the clothing could break or detach and present a choking hazard. The second recall involves nearly 300,000 infant rompers. Target has gotten 16 reports of snaps on Cloud Island infant rompers breaking, detaching, or missing, resulting in 1 report of scratches and 1 report of a child being pinched. If you have any of the recalled items, contact Target for more information. And the number of confirmed COVID cases in the United States has surpassed 20 million. The increase comes as health officials race to vaccinate millions of Americans. The U.S. has nearly 1/4 of the more than 83 million COVID cases worldwide. India trials the U.S. with 10 million and Brazil with 7 million. And the North Dakota and Minnesota Departments of Health say they will need to update the coronavirus numbers tomorrow since today is a holiday. In the last update, North Dakota reported 1,889 positive cases. There are over 1,200 deaths, and the positivity rate is 3.86%. In the last update, Minnesota reported 1,798 new cases and 172 new deaths. And President Donald Trump is back in Washington after coming home a day early from his Mar-a-Lago resort. His return comes as Republican leaders resist his demand for bigger COVID stimulus checks, while allies plan one last long-shot challenge to the president's election loss. A Republican senator called attempts to change the election results a dangerous ploy. And meanwhile, the $600 checks President Trump signed off on this weekend could be arriving in a couple of weeks. Brooke Buckner has insight from a local expert.
$600 isn't much of a game changer.
But one expert says it can still make an impact. David Yeskovich is an associate professor of economics at Southeast Missouri State. He has different tips on how to save or spend the incoming stimulus checks wisely and breaks it down into 3 categories.
Those facing financial hardship, those who are facing a lot of uncertainty, and those who are somewhat confident.
Yeskovich suggests those who are currently facing financial hardship should put that money toward their bills.
Paying their bills would probably be their top priority.
And for those facing uncertainty,
the first thing I would ask those individuals would be, do you have any debt, particularly high interest credit card debt? And if so, that might be a productive and efficient way to spend your $600 stimulus check.
He says those who are financially stable should consider saving the money and putting it into a retirement fund. Some folks tell me how they plan to use their check.
Hopefully it's going to go into savings. That way we can put it towards whatever we need to in the long run.
You know, I'm a pretty good spender. You know, I like to go out and spend money. So I should contribute to the economy.
Yeskovich also says putting the money into a rainy day fund would be another good place to put it. Live local now in Cape Girardeau, Brooke Buckner, Heartland News.
With the $2,000 stimulus check bill still being debated in the Senate, this could be the only payout for some time. And if you want to lose the quarantine 15, Peloton and other fitness companies have ways for you to get in shape at home.
And here's how things look in Fargo for the rest of this evening. Those clouds and a bit of a southerly breeze will keep our temperatures fairly stable for this evening in those lower 20s. And then in Grand Forks, expecting the same kind of story, some low clouds and also mild temperatures for the rest of our New Year's Day. We'll break down your full forecast coming up after the break.